Crowded? Overpriced? Distant from campus? Why? When Arthur's Village offers affordable, spacious apartments close to campus. Residents especially like the large bedrooms and ample living space.
I have so much room here at Arthur's Village I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. Now I have room for all my stuff.
Arthur's Village apartments are not only spacious, but affordable too. With 9-month leases and low summer rates, Arthur's Village meets students' budgets.
Arthur's Village is so affordable that after paying my rent, I have enough money left over to do the things I enjoy doing.
Arthur's Village economical 3- and 4-bedroom furnished apartments are also close to campus.
I just had a rough day of classes. I'm ready to go over to SAC, work off a little tension, playing some hoops. And since I'm so close to campus, I can be there in a few minutes.
Arthur's Village. Spacious. Affordable. Close to campus. Located at 722 West Broomfield. Call 772-2163 for more information.
In the aftermath of war and civil strife, hunger, disease, and the need for shelter have no nationality. From the very beginning of the Gulf crisis, the Red Cross has been helping refugees and the victims of war. Our work will continue as long as humanitarian aid is required. Please help. Support the American Red Cross Gulf Crisis Fund. Call 1-800-842-2200.
After dating the guy forever, you think I could tell him anything. Why is this so hard? I'm really scared.
It takes a lot of guts to tell someone he's too drunk to drive. But you can do it. Just say it. Because if you don't, there may be nothing left to say.
Kevin, I'm gonna drive.
Take the keys, call a cab, take a stand. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
We're curious, what are the city's policies concerning loud parties, aside from the enforcement of the drinking age?
The party response that the police department gives is predicated on complaints that might be received by us from the neighborhoods. We have to receive complaints from anyone before we respond to those kinds of situations. So when we go to a party and there may be some action taken by police officers, it's because we've received some complaints in the neighborhood. So from a policy standpoint, all of that is predicated on whether or not we receive complaints from a citizen, whoever that citizen may be.
So how does the city define a loud party? Is it just whether or not there's been a complaint, or is there a volume level at which they say that's allowed?
The volume level is one that is one of the elements that the officer looks at when he or she arrives at that particular location that has the so-called loud party. But the loud party itself, in terms of the complaint, must come from a citizen. Then the officer arrives at that particular scene, makes some determination as to whether or not there is enough loudness that disturbs the complainant, and takes action accordingly.
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's your question, caller?
I was wondering how many parking tickets they give out a year.
I don't really know. I don't know.
You know, okay. We've heard, or I guess we've heard that there is some discrepancy in enforcement between the students and the regular citizens. Do you see that to be true? Are the police in this town more strict with the students than they are with the full-time residents?
I don't think there's any differentiation between full-time, or as you refer to as full-time residents, and people who may have student status. I think what we generally will respond to is complaints from whomever. But when you concentrate a number of people, whoever those people may be, in a small area, and you have certain kinds of behavior, that behavior being perhaps some disruption of the neighborhood, we have nothing, we don't have much flexibility there. We must, as part of our responsibility, respond to those situations and try to resolve them to everyone's liking, including those who indeed are involving themselves in that activity. We have to protect them as well. I don't know if you're aware, but in the last several months, in the last couple of years, we've had people who have been injured and, as a matter of fact, died as a result of those kinds of activities. So we're very sensitive to that, and we're sensitive to our responsibility to protect everyone.
Okay. I think we have another caller. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
What's your question?
Well, I wanted to ask Mr. Trombley, when and by whom were the two ordinances passed? The ones I'm talking about is allowing a loud party and attending a loud party. I was kind of curious if those were just city council things, or was it the vote by the residents, or what that was about?
Those ordinances were passed by city council. They are local ordinances, not state laws, and they're not voted on. They're passed by city council.
Caller, do you have a question?
Hello.
Caller.
Hello.
Do you have a question?
Mr. Trombley.
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, I was wondering what the policy was regarding the warning the occupants and the throwers of a party, because I've received a party citation, and where the police had just entered my house and asked who the organizers were. We did cooperate, and they subsequently ticketed everybody inside the house, which we only have one door, and it kind of created a big disturbance, and windows were broken. I was just wondering why there wasn't a warning or anything as to a complaint. We didn't get any warning at all.
That's a question that's always raised, whether or not we should give warning or give notice to somebody that there's been a complaint against them. That's a discretion of the officer, and usually if we are giving those tickets, it's because we've had more than one complaint from somebody in the neighborhood. We don't indiscriminately identify a particular party and go give tickets. We don't have any need to do that. It's a response to a complainant, and we go to that location and find what is being complained about and cite those people for those violations.
Okay, we have a few seconds left before our first break, but caller, I think we can fit you in. Are you there?
Yeah.
What's your question, caller?
Mr. Trombley, I was wondering, in our case next year, we're not a fraternity house, but say all the members in our house are 21 and over, and we get caught with a keg in our house, and there are minors in there, but we couldn't get them all out. What happened to us? Will we all get tickets for distributing to minors?
Well, unless there is some indication that the minors are drinking, I don't know what would bring us to that location. If there's the fact that somebody is 21 or older and has beer in their house is not a violation. And the fact that there is somebody underage in that house is not a violation. It's the question of whether or not people underage are drinking, are being given the beer by somebody who is of age. But so I don't know that we could arbitrarily say that somebody's going to get ticketed for it.
What do you think? Is the substance abuse-free dorm a good idea?
Well, in the area of the survey, I think that people, when they answer survey questions, have a tendency to answer how they think they should answer, not necessarily what they really feel. I mean,
like an ideal versus...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a whole lot of the idea myself. I mean, I don't think very much of the fact that there are some students who have lived in these, certain areas of campus, certain halls for, 2 or 3 years are being forced to move simply because, they don't want to, sign whatever they have to do to stay there. I mean, I don't even think it's really going to work.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I've known a lot of people who have come here and who have come here wanting not knowing or partying or not expecting to go out and have alcohol be a part of their social life, who have changed around and things like that. Is it going to be, do you think it's going to be effective in controlling student behavior on campus?
I don't think it's going to be effective at all. I mean, students are basically going to do what they want to do. As the 2 years in a row where we had riots, I mean, it's obvious that people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if students are 21, they should, and they want to drink and be responsible in the residence hall room, I don't have a problem with that.
Yes. Caller.
Hi.
Hi. Your name, please.
Sam.
Sam?
Yes.
Yes. Have good evening. What's your question or comment?
Well, I'm calling about the substance-free halls, to make a comment about that.
Oh, go for it.
Using clean language, of course. I was thinking that the surveys that they passed out to the students, were worded so that they could manipulate the information how they wanted it. A lot of people that I've talked to were not aware of what the information was going to be used for.
Do you recall how it was worded on the survey?
The survey said something like, would you choose to live in a substance-free room? And that includes not using your body as a container. So I think a lot of people, it was really kind of vague, and I think a lot of people answered it not thinking that the university was going to consider it a vote as to changing the lifestyles all around campus.
Or realizing the ramifications of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any comments, Brian?
That sounds like that.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate it.
One of those Ross Perot surveys where they, you know, ask a question a certain way to get a certain answer.
Yeah. About the thing, the body being a container.
I don't understand that myself.
I don't understand that either. By that logic, it means that if you go into the dorm and you have been drinking, you would have to empty your container, which before you go in. We do have another phone caller. Caller.
That sounds good.
Hello.
Hi, I have a comment, and I think it's really stupid that if you're drunk, you can't come home, which is basically what they're saying. And if you come home drunk, if you're caught once, you get no warnings, but you get kicked out of your dorm.
And
also with the surveys, they were worded so it was either yes or doesn't matter as the answer. They had no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Caller, thank you very much. Do you feel this is a fair practice, or at the very least a fair survey?
It doesn't sound like it was. I don't know when I don't really know when they did the survey, but I guess I would have thought they would have the option of the answer no.
Many things concerning money and Central, and those two are, as I said before, are extremely linked together. They have to do a lot to do with the drop in the numbers of enrollment numbers of freshmen or incoming freshmen, and acceptance of applications. Now, should entrance standards be lowered in order to boost enrollment or attract more students?
I don't think that's a really feasible course of action, because if you look at our persistence rates, that's, you know, how the percentage of students that, you know, how many years a student when they enter as a freshman lasts, how many years they're still here. A lot of them, you know, we're at one of our lowest persistence rates ever, and if you lower your admission standards, a lot of those students are never going to, you know, stay here long enough to graduate, so I don't really think that we're doing ourselves any good to...
That's possible, but do you think a school like Central Michigan University can attract a top flight student who would otherwise attend, say, University of Michigan Engineering College or anything like that?
Well, I think obviously we can't compete with like U of M and Wayne and Michigan State, but other institutions like Western and Eastern, I mean, they're growing in enrollment while we're declining. Yeah. So something, obviously, they must be doing something that we're not.
Spring with Spirit Etc. With a full line of CMU merchandise, Spirit Etc. is the store for Central Michigan. Spirit Etc. carries hats, jackets, and a wide variety of other CMU items. Conveniently located in the Stadium Mall across from Kmart, Spirit Etc. offers monogramming, custom sewing, and group discounts. So nail one out of the park this spring with Spirit Etc.'s April discount specials. Call 772-0202 today and score with a winner, Spirit Etc.
Everyone has their own idea of a hero.
Magic Johnson. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mr. Neal.
My hero, Gloria Stefan.
Martin Luther King. Mr. Hope.
These are teachers, but to the kids they've reached, they're heroes. They've given them hope. They've given them choices. They've changed their lives.
Well, the children are the heroes.
The most fulfilling thing is watching a child succeed.
I just like to help them make their dreams come true.
Teachers have the power to wake up young minds, to be heroes, to make a difference. Reach for that power. Teach. If you want to make an impact on our future, call 1-800-45-TEACH.
Mr. Wilkins.
Mrs. Eisenhardt.
Mr. Adler.
Be a teacher. Be a hero.
Mrs. Washburn, I'm Gerald Fry's mother.
Oh, don't you work nights?
I traded shifts. Mrs. Washburn, about Gerald. I wish I could help him learn better, but I'm no genius.
Well, you don't have to do the homework, but ask to see it. Let him show off what he learned. Praise him more. Show you care.
You think we got a chance here?
A good chance. Show me a parent who really cares, and I'll show you a kid who can learn.
Brothers and fellow mountain goats, this year's recipient of the treasured Black Horn Award, Richard Lynch. Come on up here, Dick.
What are you doing this weekend that's so important you can't take a little time to test your home for radon? After all, it is the second leading cause of lung cancer, and a radon test kit is inexpensive. You could pick one up on your way to the lodge.
We're discussing legalization of marijuana, and Jason, you mentioned before the break that marijuana is a substance with a lot of, I guess we could say, benevolent side effects. True. Could you give us some of those?
Okay, well, in the field of medicine, for instance, hemp has been used for thousands of years in countries like China, India, and between 1850 and early part of the 20th century in this country, hemp was used for a variety of illnesses. One of the most beneficial, that's a lot of noise, one of the most beneficial medicines, anyways, in this country. It affects things such as glaucoma, and what glaucoma is, it's a buildup of pressure in your eyes.
Caller, are you there?
Yes, I would like to know why you're spending all your time, or I don't know if it's all your time, but why are you even concerned with this when you could be doing so many other things? Like, why don't you concern yourself with your studies or looking for a good job out there? Why is marijuana such a big concern to you?
Why is it a concern to me?
Yes.
Well, I think it's just my concern as a concerned citizen. I don't devote a lot of my time to it, or I don't, you know, I don't like sit around and read marijuana books. I've learned about the cause, and they asked me to come on the show, and so here I am. I do well in my studies, and I have a job.
Okay, I'm curious about this. You said that the legalization and use of hemp could break our dependence on OPEC, foreign oil. How is that going to happen?
Well, we import a lot of our oil for energy.
Right.
Okay, this country, like, in order to produce what this energy, or this country uses per year is 75 quadrillion billion BTUs. That's like the
Okay,
amount.
so how are we going to utilize hemp?
Okay, what hemp, basically any plant matter can be converted into energy using a technique known as biomass fuel. And it's kind of a complicated chemical thing I'd have to explain, but basically you can grow any plant and convert its biomass into fuel. And they do it like with corn. You've seen like gasohol or whatever they call it?
Yeah.
They like convert a certain amount of corn into gas. Okay, well, basically hemp grows faster than any other plant. And so you can produce more per acre using hemp. And in fact, if we use 6% of our U.S. lands to grow hemp, we could produce all of those 75 quadrillion billion BTUs.
Okay, we have another caller. Are you there?
Yeah. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your question?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to say you guys are doing an incredible job. I mean, I watch this program weekly, and I'm just totally impressed.
Thank you.
I have a question. Marijuana, I mean, for example, Robert Parrish of the Boston Celtics uses it. So, I mean, he's supposed to be somewhat of a role model. So I don't see what the problem is in using marijuana. It's supposed to add years to your lifespan, so I don't see what the problem is if athletes use it.
I personally don't really see a problem with it either. You're not going to find me arguing with what you're saying. I think that, you know, there have been studies like you just said. There were studies done in Jamaica and in Costa Rica over long-term, you know, people who use it over a long period of time. They can't do it in this country because, you know, it's illegal.
It's my understanding that the research on marijuana really isn't equivocal, though.
What do you mean by equivocal?
That it's not one-sided in favor of it, not one-sided saying that it isn't detrimental.
Oh, no, there's been all kinds of studies, false studies that have been done over the years. For instance, the study that, for years, like, I was told that marijuana kills my brain cells. Well, I found out the study that supposedly proved this was done with monkeys in confined chambers, where they'd pump all the smoke into the monkeys' chambers.
Mm-hmm. And so they'd asphyxiate.
Right, and they would asphyxiate and their brain cells would die, and it wasn't because of the marijuana. And so you're right, there hasn't been equivocal study done.
Okay, we have another call. Are you there?
Hello?
What's your question?
I'm wondering, do any of you guys smoke it, or is that a too personal question, or what?
I think that might be too personal.
You think so? Okay, I'm just wondering, does it like cure any other diseases like leprosy or dysentery or something?
Not that I know of. Well,
no?
I'm you know, just positively not sure about.
Well, I'm all for it. I mean, because hell, it's better than drinking and everything.
That's
true.
true.
In the long run, you can't get a high driving or anything, can you?
You can't get what?
Or like a high driving, like a drunk driving or something?
Well, if marijuana were legalized, there would be laws against operating motor vehicles under the influence of it, I'm sure, because if you do take a lot of marijuana, it does affect your coordination to an extent, not as much as alcohol.
No.
But I don't think that people, I mean, I think that marijuana should be legalized, and people probably like over 21 should be able to smoke it, you know, when they want. But
yeah.
But I don't think that, you know, that little kids should get it, or we should do it while they're driving.
Oh, no, I mean, totally a judgment. If they want to use it, let them use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Thank you for calling.
All right, peace and hope, dude.
Thank you.
I think that abortion is the innocent taking of an innocent human life, that human life begins at conception, and that abortion, as it is being practiced currently, is more a form of birth control than any other reason. As I stated in the column that you might have been referring to, there's 3.6 million unwanted pregnancies in this country every year.
Okay.
And 44% of those are ended in induced abortion.
Okay.
And so, in other words, it's because people, they don't want to take responsibility for their actions of getting pregnant, that they go ahead and have an abortion. We're devaluing human life and saying that some lives are more valuable than others if we continue to have this practice.
Okay. Karen, what are your feelings on this?
Well,
briefly?
I'm pro-choice because abortion and pregnancy are unique to the female condition, that it is a woman's autonomous right to choose what she does with her own body.
Okay. Jeff, I'm curious, you said that life begins at conception. What are your feelings on the use of contraceptives such as the IUD, which prevent...
Before we get onto that, can I just... I think we need to talk about this issue of a woman's choice. I think that's basically what your argument is, correct?
Yes, my argument is that, but also I think that the basis of your argument is saying that human life begins at conception, and that is a religious concept. That is
Actually, it's a biological concept.
Excuse me, that is not a biological concept. That is a religious concept, and that theologians, philosophers, scholars, physicians, scientists, lay people alike throughout the years have debated this issue, the issue of personhood at conception, and that even in the Christian religion, all the theologians do not agree on this issue.
Glad you brought up that issue. You're saying that a woman has a supreme right to her body. If she becomes pregnant, she can have an abortion.
I am definitely saying that.
Okay. So you're saying that since this woman has a supreme right to her body, that no condition or restriction can be placed on her body.
I'm saying that people have to have autonomous control over their own bodies. Like men have autonomous control over their bodies, women should have autonomous control over their bodies.
But see, men...
It is fundamental to freedom.
Neither men nor women have fully autonomous control over their bodies. For I cannot inject myself with heroin, and you cannot inject yourself with heroin and say...
We're not talking about
sure
drug abuse here.
Sure we are.
How are we talking about drug abuse?
If I want to make a choice to inject myself with drugs, society says I can't do that because that can hurt myself. Society says I need to wear a seatbelt in an automobile.
Okay, doesn't society say that it's okay to have an abortion as per Roe versus Wade?
Society, the government, the Supreme Court has passed down that abortion can be legal, but on the other hand, the Supreme Court is recognizing that abortion needs to be restricted. And even the president is saying that there's too many abortions and too many unwanted pregnancies, so it gets back to the whole issue of responsibility and accountability for one's actions.
The fact of the matter is the majority of the people in the United States support a woman's right to choose. The fact of the matter is the current administration supports a woman's right to choose and has vowed to secure that right.
What is that right based upon?
That right is based upon autonomy. You have to have autonomous control over your own personhood, and that is human rights.
But
that is fundamental
we're forgetting
to
about
women
the right of the other. I mean, you're forgetting about the, as you said, the potential
You're
life.
forgetting about the right of the other, and that other happens to be women.
Okay, let's get back to your point about personhood beginning when the heart beats and when we have brain. Okay, we'll get to the caller then. I'll get to my point later. Caller? Caller, are you there, caller?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay, I'd like, in the beginning Jeff said that part of the problem here is that people aren't taking responsibility, and that's why their abortions are being used as birth control.
Okay.
And I'd just like for him to speak to the aspect about men taking responsibility.
Yes.
Okay, caller, I agree with you that it's a decision by two individuals to engage in the sexual practice that produces the child. However,
when someone gets pregnant, it's the woman.
No, the woman, she should recognize that she's the one that gets pregnant, so she should not go engage in that behavior unless she is willing to take responsibility for her action. That does not mean she has to keep the child. She can always give it up for adoption.
So as usual, it's always the woman who has to take responsibility.
The man should also participate in the process. I'm not trying to put any blame on the woman or force any actions on the woman.
But the fact of the matter is there are millions of men out there who don't even know that they have participated in creating a fetus, and that there are a million more men out there who want to have nothing to do with it after they know that they have made a child with a woman. And you made a very good point there, that pregnancy and therefore abortion is unique to the female condition. That's why this is a woman's issue. This is not anyone else's issue. You have to understand that that the right to control one's body is fundamental to women in this society.
Different kinds of pipes freeze for different reasons. To protect yours, wrap insulation around exposed pipes. If a hard freeze is forecast, open the doors under sinks and let the hot and cold faucets trickle overnight. Leave the heat on if you're leaving town. Following these steps can get you through cold weather on a high note.
Long ago, in a place where there was nothing, something incredible began to happen. As the centuries passed, a beautiful forest blossomed, and all was well. Then one day, a man was careless. And once again, there was nothing.
Someone with HIV infection might look like. Look in a mirror and ask yourself if you're at risk. Call 1-800-342-AIDS.
Central Michigan University. Big enough to matter, small enough to care.
It's going to be a good topic with a good show. We'll see you then.
Crosstalk is a presentation by the students of the Broadcast and Cinematic Arts Department of Central Michigan University. Any unauthorized reproduction or rebroadcast, in whole or in part, without the express written consent of the Department of Broadcast and Cinematic Arts, the producers of Crosstalk, and Central Michigan University is strictly prohibited. Any comments, suggestions, or if you would like to be a guest on Crosstalk for a certain topic, write Crosstalk of the Department of Broadcast and Cinematic Arts, Central Michigan University, Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Crosstalk will be back next week with another issue that concerns you.